But yeah, no. So of course I'm John, right? Todd is joining us.
And hi, I am here as well. Hi, I hope everyone is well. And John, I hope you've had a good day so far.
Yeah, real productive on my side. Working from home. But Sam, welcome. Say hello.
Hey, hi, hey,
Hi.
I hope some of your days are well. Just some of you.
Not like most or all, just some.
Chosen few.
Sam, is there anything you want to say about yourself, like the fact that you often daydream of flowers being able to commune and travel across the land?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm an aspiring comedian from San Juan.
Nice.
I'm neither funny nor pretty, so this is gonna be a really challenging thing. But I think I've got it in the bag, and I think my family behind me and my friends supporting me, I'm gonna be able to do this one day.
You got this, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see you at the scene of the race.
Patreon soon, then, or what's going on?
There already is a Patreon. It's called Dude That's Not Funny, and that your mom always said was not good enough for you, but kind of nice.
So give him a chance at gmail.com.
Give me a chance at protonmail.com, please.
Oh, get out of here. What? Your Proton Mail? What year is this?
I do the same, actually.
Yeah, Todd and I are a folk of principle.
All right. I use Opera as a browser.
Wow, look at
It's
you.
okay. We're all old in some way, John.
I know. No, for Rocket Mail, that one makes me crack up. And then what's the CompuServe? Does anyone remember that?
Whoa. No, I don't remember.
No, sorry. I was born in the 90s.
Shh, bro. But if anyone cares to follow this crazy maniacal man with a comedy plan, it's just his name, right? Your Instagram handle is just your name with the underscore at the end.
Yeah, it's Sam Chapa _
comedian.
Trying comedian.
Not pretty. Needs to.
Nor funny.
Nor funny. Whatever, man. Welcome, dude. I'm real happy that you can make it out. And that way we can kind of get this whole chatting thing. I'd love to have you back, continuously on this.
Yeah, for sure. If possible, I would be here every day.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't believe
We're
it.
not here every day, so that's a possibility.
Just standing there waiting. So do you want to just go into the first topic? I'm curious to know how you've actually been through all this COVID stuff, man, Sam.
I've been pretty great.
What's changed for you?
Absolutely nothing apart from working from home. I almost wouldn't go out anyway. So I'd stay here and play Smite. And my days so far have been go to work, get out, play Smite.
And you're working from home now, right?
Yeah, I am. I've been doing so since the 23rd of March. Yeah.
So did they help you?
Be about a month. Or so.
Yeah.
No.
It's already been a month. Yeah, right. Yeah, today's the 27th. So
I'm sorry. Yeah. So
it's already been a month. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy because I haven't been to the university in over a month either on my side. And
it's pretty incredible if you think about it. Yeah.
It is. I haven't been to my work site since the 14th of March. Like, that's just odd. It's just so weird. But did they help you? Like, did they give you any help actually, like working from home? Like, did you have to download any like programs, or did they give you a box to take home?
Yeah, they did. They gave us a box. It was just like full on PC.
Were they ready for that, or did it take a
while? They started packaging everything like days before. So basically, we were just passing by and picking them up in our cars.
Evacuate. Yeah. Take your work with you. Evacuate. Take your work with you.
Basically, man. Yeah. But they've been pretty gracious with everything that's been going on. Like because of what I do, I talk to a ton of people that, have lost their jobs. And we hear the number, right? It's 22 million people over the course of the last 5 weeks. but you don't really visualize that or put a name to it, right? It's just like, fuck, that's a ton of people. Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss. I
You're
apologize if I
welcome to.
can.
You're fine. You're fine.
Okay. So, you kind of sit there and, and now that I know that, Francine from Beaumont, Texas doesn't have a job, like it puts like a name, a voice to that catastrophe that we're going through. And it's just incredible because like at times I sit here and I feel shitty that I'm at work because I'd rather be doing other things. But then I think about these 22 million people that can't feel the same way, and I can't
Seriously,
feel but feel lucky as like as much as I can. Um,
luck looks a little different
but
these
yeah,
days, right? Like that was kind of coming to mind too. Is that
yeah,
I feel like I have a lot of free time, and I've caught myself complaining that I don't have enough time to do all the things I want to do, and I almost had to like mentally slap myself and be like, you know, that is ridiculous, right? Privilege in 2020 looks like having a job where you can work from home and you don't have to worry about some of these finances. I think one of the numbers was like 1 in 5 will experience unemployment.
yeah.
And that's a scary number. That's moving towards 20% if we continue this way, which is kind of scary ultimately. Because and then hearing about all that stuff too. But I get you because I used to work as a debtor, which is a
Oh
terrible
wow.
thing,
Okay.
and there's a weight on my soul because of that. But every case you hear, when you hear like the reason why it went down and why it's happening, like you can't help but empathize with what that person's going through.
Yeah, definitely. And so at times, it's just important to kind of counter blessings, lack of a better term, if you will.
Sure.
Um,
I mean, I'd say that
at
too.
the end of the day, yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's not just about us; it's about a ton of people as well.
Have you
Yeah.
did your job like? Oh, I'm sorry, Todd. You want to ask him any questions? I'm hogging
I
it.
I did. Sam, what has been the biggest shift you've had to make of your work now that you're not doing it in a workspace? You're doing it at home in your own workspace there. But like, what's the biggest thing that has changed from the shift from your regular workplace to your home?
Um, there hasn't been much, to be honest. I think one of the biggest things now is trying to keep myself motivated.
Seriously,
Right.
no,
Just
seriously.
because like I'm less than 2 feet away from where I sleep, you know. And also I'd rather be doing other things. A couple more things have happened in my life over the course of the last couple of weeks that have kind of really kind of opened my eyes to some things. And we can get into those things maybe later, um, but yeah, I mean, apart from that, really nothing else has changed too much.
Yeah.
Cool.
Motivation is really a big thing. Um, I'm having a hard time like motivating myself. I literally have to dress for work to get myself ready to record.
Yeah,
Because
I
otherwise I just
think
feel
that
terrible.
so, I think the problem I'm having right now is merely just a problem that I've always had. It's like, what do you think about motivation, Sam? I think it's much more difficult um, when you're kind of put in a position, not out of your choice, and you really struggle with motivation. You kind of struggle with like maybe keeping up, good habits, and kind of organization, you know. Um, but I've taken this time personally to I had already been bullet journaling and doing some other things, and that's legitimately I've actually seen it now over a month. And you mentioned it earlier that you've been working from home for a little while. It's like, oh crap, like all this time has passed by, and it made me making me realize like what has actually changed now that we've been at home for well, at least I have been at home for some time, right? And trying to keep up some kind of good good habits of sorts. That has been like a big change for me in particular, and the having those change, but also having the motivation to continue it is really difficult. More so than before, just because I don't know. I feel more constrained than usual because I can't necessarily go out and see somebody or do something like that. Granted, we have the tools to do all those things, right? But it definitely, like, I think I mentioned it before and the episode before, that it's really interesting, kind of just seeing the things that maybe didn't necessarily take for granted, because I don't take, but something I just chose not to, do a whole lot of, which was, go out more and see more people,
Seriously though.
So that's been kind of an interesting process that I've been going through last couple weeks, and like today I've been thinking a lot about that, just because it's a significant amount of time has passed in my.
No, seriously. So I just want to say real quick, you were cutting up a little bit. If you have a compressor that might be silencing you, you might want to pull the mic closer a little bit. But no, I totally get you. Like, especially if you have like those motivation problems. I have some friends that I guess we don't realize how much walking out the door and going to a new place affects how we think. And I've been aware of that due to cognitive factors. It's part of like therapy, from my perspective, right? Reminding people of these things. But, it's today, right? I wake up in the morning, and I watch my news, right? And then I put on music so that I can make it feel like I need to work out, so I can work out a bit, use resistance bands, do some cardio. And then I switch into having fun, playing games. And then I switch into work mode, and it's all in the same place. And I started thinking about, is it 2001: A Space Odyssey, or maybe even Interstellar? Again, about like how like you have to. I just imagined a camera in the corner of the room and just like a continuous replay of me doing all these different activities, but in the same damn place. And it messes with my head a little bit. Like it's so weird.
Yeah, and I'd imagine that it's much more pressing for you because like you're still working right now, right? And
Yes.
For me, not as much because I'm not, but I want that sense of urgency, because like you said earlier, you're basically working like 2 feet from where you're sleeping. What kind of motivation is it, regardless of whether you're clocking in somewhere or clocking in on an app or something?
Seriously.
or like going into a Zoom chat or some, or a Discord call or whatever, and then 5 minutes after that it's like my bed's right there, I can just totally just go to sleep, so it's like it's so difficult to like really wrap my head around and really gain control of this giant moving ship that is my brain during a pandemic. But slowly, starting to catch the reins and really understand which way I'm drifting, but it is tough, especially when you don't have, if you're not working right now, or maybe I don't live alone, but
Isolated a little bit.
I isolate for sure for a good portion, but yeah, having some kind of motivating factor, music, coffee, or like you said, getting dressed up. I feel like we talked about this
Dressing
last
up.
week.
Yeah, we did.
Well,
Yeah, we did.
but this is us.
bears
Okay,
reminder.
that's me in. That's you, John. In the editing booth, replaying something we've already talked.
For sure.
But
I'm real curious. Like, so one of the things that I wanted to get into was to kind of move the topic along forward too. Is like, so Sam, have you noticed people doing anything differently that caught you off guard?
People doing anything differently that caught me off guard? Not really. I mean, apart from like the obvious, like at the store.
Like the distancing and stuff.
Yeah, no, I think maybe it'll just be like these people being so concerned about masks and like toilet paper. That's super weird.
It is, but it also gives us like a foretelling of what might happen with the meat shortage that could happen. And that one's real concerning. I kind of wanted to mention on that point, or Todd, do you have anything you want to add? Do you see anything different from people? Because I go for jogs and I see some different stuff.
Something that had immediately come to my mind, and that I've noticed the past 4 weeks, I would guess now, was that people are seemingly driving slower. I swear to you, every time I've gone to get groceries, or even all I have to do is look out the window. Like I live close to the railroad, so it's like I see cars
fair.
driving ridiculously slow,
Yeah,
regardless of whether there's a train there or not. And it's like, what? Why? I don't understand.
Well, they're like, we have nowhere to go.
Right? We're just gonna drive slow and appreciate what's around us, maybe.
Seriously, I think that with the low gas prices, I'm feeling like the the late 1990s, early 2000s version of a cruise, man. Like just drive around. I feel like there's not much to do right now, so people are looking for ways. I'm curious because I wonder if I would see that here. I will say I see people like moving a little bit slower, taking their time, saying hello more from a distance. The one that not freaked me out, but I was like, whoa, like that's creative. And it took me a while, like to realize what's happening. I went for a jog behind my apartments, and I saw that there was as I'm doing my jog, I keep seeing these minivans, like the same minivan, driving around in like a big circle, like of course big to where like it takes a while to go around. And then they have Christmas lights inside the vehicle, right? And not like during Christmas when people put lights like on their hood or
Home Alone or something.
like-
What bandits?
I know. I was like, what's going on here? Because I was like, okay, like who's lost? Like who's off their rocker? That's the first thing that came to mind, especially because the kids are like weaving, like there's kids in the back. It's like two women, a bunch of kids in the back, and they're waving like lights and lightsabers around and stuff. And it took literally a couple passes of them going around me, and then seeing another car do it. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I think that suburban parents are looking for different ways to entertain their kids. So like,
Yeah.
I think that what they're doing is that they're getting that little power converter they used for their phone, right? Or for that one thing they use camping. And someone somewhere got the bright idea to plug that sucker into the car, put on the lights in there, and to make it feel like something interesting to the kids so that the kids probably aren't frustrating the parents as much.
Man, that is some.
Right?
That is some MacGyvering, man.
That's what I
If I
thought
had
too.
kids, I probably would not have thought about that.
And that's what I'm saying, though. Mind you, this is an affluent, like the houses are probably making well over 80K each house, right? But still, that one that caught me off guard too. I went for a walk with my friend Ryan. We are from the same apartment complex, and so like we tried our best to not really mingle with people outside of our area.
Right.
And so we went for a walk. Some random guy, some random people, just like driving around, and they just kind of, as they drove by, they're like, "Hey, love y'all," and then like. Ryan and I look at each other and I'm like, that's odd. And he goes, well, not odd. He goes, that kind of happens in this area. He's like, there's a lot of free love, but I don't know if we'll experience it like that. And then the guy goes down the street and we hear the same thing. He's like, love y'all. And I was just like, okay, like this is like a really odd version of socializing, you know?
I think people, in light of some of a tragedy. In this case, this is a tragedy that's happening.
Yeah, just so
think
spread
a lot-
out though. It's like it's not striking at one time. But yeah, sorry.
I think you're fine. I think you're just going to see a little more kindness, some more generosity, a little more patience, hopefully. And I have seen all of those things, right? I've seen it in person. Obviously, you read about it online too. It's definitely just little moments where it might catch you off guard and you might question, John, and or you both of you were thinking about it, obviously talking about it.
Sure.
And I know you do, but I would just say to anyone that's experiencing that and maybe just not used to it, appreciate it a little bit. Not everyone's like that.
Oh, seriously.
Especially people that you meet just on the street somewhere. Or you're walking, around your apartment complex or whatever. Like, not every stranger wants to be more than that. And it's just nice when your neighbor, someone who's lived in your complex, a couple doors down from you for forever, you just never knew them. You see them out and about, from a distance, and they say something like that to you. It definitely means that they've either experienced something personally because of what's going on, or that just some kind of humanity is being brought back to them in particular. And they feel the need to share it with everybody, regardless of who they are.
Yeah,
I think that's something that we need more of. I wish the circumstances didn't always.
It sounds like a damn.
Dictated.
It sounds like the same line you always hear at a damn funeral.
Right. I definitely wish the circumstances would be different, but at least that's the reaction you're getting. Then a more hateful or aggressive or panic would be better. Probably be the best.
Yeah. Rather than getting panic. Have you seen more friendly people, or are people just? Because I'm curious too. Because how would this affect differently? Because I think it's different how it might be seen in the Valley. Because the Valley is a bit more of a collective environment than it is like Austin, right?
Yeah, I definitely think it's just purely from my personal experience. People have been a lot nicer. People that I've never spoken to in my neighborhood have spoken. Stuff like that. From a distance, obviously, across
You're
my
supposed
fence.
to be social distancing, Tom.
Yeah, this is me. This is me literally standing on the porch with a mask on while they're literally strolling by in the street. Definitely more than 9 feet away from me, so we're fine.
That it's airborne, Tom.
They have it's not like they have like a straw and they're like like tossing a loogie at you, you know.
You don't know, man. Some people are sneaky.
I mean, if someone somewhere maybe.
It can be.
So I'm kind of curious, right? So how do y'all? I was kind of thinking about it today. I've been wanting to kind of make a trip to the Valley, right? What's y'all's first impressions of that? And then I'll like expand on that, like travels right now.
I think right now it might still be a bad idea. I would give it maybe about another 3 months.
That's a wide window, but not something I disagree with.
I just think, I have a feeling that much like a lot of people that, especially in this country that have a concern about being able to move around right now, I think that personally, unless you're doing something essential, something really important, I think I'd rather wait. I'd rather people wait until, at this point, for me, realistically, just like test as many people, test as many people as you can in your community, in your region, before you even consider doing any of those. At least in my opinion, that's how I'm like, obviously Abbott, the governor.
Sure, yeah, people in Texas feel
that's already started.
differently.
Like that's already started now, right?
Yeah.
Today. So
I haven't read the news on that, right? So did they restart today, or they said they're trying to open to 25%, right?
I believe it is. Some places are going to start opening up relatively soon this week. To that 25% Friday. Okay, yeah. So like,
I'm looking at it right now. It's
Same here.
Sorry.
No, go for it. What do you got? What do you got?
The businesses must limit occupancy to no more than 25%.
Yeah. So also, how do we know that's being enforced? What measures are local governments putting in place so that these corporate, etc. workplaces can make sure to comply by that, because you can never be so sure. I can't be so.
No.
Then again, how sure can I be if I just go to the grocery store today?
I mean,
if I don't, etc. So ultimately, it does come down to you just got to be careful yourself, right? Obviously.
So, what do y'all feel like? So the fact that we're opening up to 25% capacity, so that means that restaurants can reopen, right?
Yeah.
So if that said, Sam, would you be willing to go to your favorite restaurant on Friday?
And not this Friday, no.
No, that's good.
I think I'd still maybe eat out, like I've been to restaurants, but I
just get in and leave, right?
Yeah.
How about you, Todd? How do you feel about that? Would you go to a restaurant Friday?
Absolutely. I would maybe do takeout. I have had food recently. I have had takeout recently. But I cannot see myself sitting in a restaurant right now.
I just never thought I'd feel so much fear about eating chips and salsa in a restaurant.
It's definitely not the chips or salsa that are going to get you.
No, but it's what's on the chips and salsa or next to the chips and salsa. Like, you know what I mean? It's funny how like the little pleasantries that we enjoyed. Now I'm really happy that I got to see. I didn't get to see you, Sam, for that time when it went down, but I got to see Todd and some of the other guys. I know some of our friends are still meeting relatively regularly, but it is a little weird because I'm going back to the decision to drive home. I've been siding with no. The only thing that would make me go down would be to kind of like reconnect. My girlfriend and I have been distant this entire time, which is okay. It's first world problem. Ultimately, I'm not dead, coughing. So I really feel like there is a curious tie off there, a trade off. But at the same time, like that's where like the human element really does get to me. Is where I do see people moving around still. I do see like families together. I do see like couples that are within the area still convening, which that was making me laugh. I was like, well, that's a cross contamination you'll never stop. But at the same time, you know, there's certain elements to real life that we can't really stop, right? But at the same time, where's the damn line between, you know, like the bottom of that and then like the bottom of the barrel that we shouldn't stop these certain things, right? But then and then on the top of that, allowing like COVID to actually go rampant, like where is that middle ground? And opening 25%, like bowling alleys, like that Georgia stuff, like that's so weird. I just don't
Georgia though.
Yeah, Georgia though. I don't know, man. Texas feels weird to me. I really don't know how to feel about this. The cases, like as we're sitting right now, we're sitting at close to 300,000 cases in Texas. Or no, sorry. Active cases reported 25,000. Total tests run is close to 300,000. We have 1,500 people in the state of Texas currently sitting in a hospital with COVID.
Right, and in this region, at least in my county, in Hidalgo, it's about 4 deaths as of earlier today, unless that's changed. Hopefully not.
Yeah, I can't see the deaths, but I can say 308 cases. And then y'all are in the same county, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're the same. So last I checked, as of noon or something, whenever the Hidalgo County Twitter account tweeted out, it was like 4 deaths.
Which is, I will say, is very minimal. Right here in Hays County, we got 148 cases. I think we have less than 10 deaths. And then the closest metro area, like the big metro area, is Travis County, which is Austin, and we're looking at about like 1,400 cases. And then if we go to, they have about 40 deaths. The one that's scaring me looking at them, the top 3 is Tarrant County at 53, Dallas County at 82, and Harris County, that's Houston, getting close to the big triple digit. They're at 93 right now.
Yeah, that's hopefully that stops.
Yeah,
there.
But that's the thing, is that it's really curious to see like state parks reopen. Like I have a camera and I've been really wanting to take some pictures. It's starting to get some like the end of spring, early beginning of summer. Like the days up here are freaking gorgeous. I mean, I know y'all live in an oven, right? So you might not relate the same way.
Yeah, I definitely don't. The weather you can pretty much fuck off. But I will say that,
for those who don't know,
earlier in the year,
that area,
Sorry.
I was gonna say, for those who don't know, that area can regularly get 95 to 110.
110. Yeah, like
yeah.
this place is literally where the devil scratches his fucking balls or something, man. Like this is where it happens. It happens right here.
Damn, boy.
Listen, I've lived here all my life, and the heat and we have never.
That place gets
before.
amnesia every summer. Every summer, everyone forgets how hot it gets until they hit it again.
I don't. I love it. I love it when I see people like, oh, it's so nice today. It's like, just fucking wait until 10 a.m. Just wait. And then you're going to look at me and I'm going to say, I told you.
So
yeah, real quick, something that I was, since you mentioned, like parks opening up and stuff, John, like a couple months ago, like I had been speaking with a mutual friend of ours, James, and we had been like talking about like going on some more hikes and stuff. Like he recently got a GoPro. We want to collaborate and do stuff. And I was kind of hyped because I had gone to that bird park Weslaco, I think, a couple times.
You mean
I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to
alligators?
go again. And I was planning throughout these next couple of months to really make an effort to go and do some writing. Just get out. And now I can't. Well, at least recently haven't. I feel better about state parks, just because I feel that's so much easier to maintain social distance if you're randomly passing by, somebody that came from a different path.
But the parks up here have actually been like busy, like busier than they've been.
Have they?
Yeah, they actually had to close down. What's it called? I can't remember the name of it, but the creek up there in Austin, they had to close the creek because of the fact that people were going there. And there's a picture; it just looks like a normal summer day last year. And everyone's really close to one another. Now, the one curious bit of information, and Texas is different than how it's been going around. I've been like saving the statistics every single day because Hayes County modified their stats about. I think I told you this, and it scared the crap out of me.
Right.
And so I've started saving screenshots of the stats like ever since like probably a week ago, and the numbers have gone up, but nowhere near in the same rate as New York. I really wonder if the distance like insulates us in a way. Because in Texas, you got to drive a crap ton of distance to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
I would definitely say that the distance does a bit, and obviously, like I feel like, obviously, I don't live in a major city, but New York, it's so kind of it's really tight. There's a lot of people, a relatively small area, right, in where we live. So I would definitely say that is cushion that like that
no, I would say so too. I think that it has cushioned it like quite a bit. Sam, are you gonna travel anytime soon?
Not anytime soon. I have something planned for early August, but that's still 4 months away.
What
A little
would
under.
what would
a month
have to
away.
hit for you to be like, all right, no, I'm canceling that?
I don't know, man. Like I think maybe some newer cases. Like I mean, in Hidalgo County, if I'm not mistaken, we haven't had a new case in like 5 days. And so I think social distancing has worked a lot, and I don't think we're gonna have to do that for the next like maybe 5 months. Like pretty sure in 4 months we'll be okay. Hopefully, knock on wood.
Right. I mean,
Um,
but I really wonder, right? Because all it takes is for one person to swing by with it, right?
yeah,
And
politics is one. You're right.
and that's what's really making me like kind of curious. 'Cause I've been watching a lot of news all over, right? Not just the United States. I try to watch also across the pond, BBC and stuff. And I mean, they're not stopping at all. They're like, yeah, we're gonna stay this way for the foreseeable future, and they're not even pretending to give a timeline. Like here in the United States, I feel like they're trying to reassure people and give them like some sense of a timeline, right? But
it's because Americans are impatient.
oh, for
We're
sure,
impatient.
for
We're
sure.
impatient, and we just want obviously they want the economy to open.
But
That's
I mean,
what-
there's a real fact to this too, though. Like, because I think a lot of people aren't aware of how big the United States is until now. Like,
Yeah, man.
because like as I'm looking at like this is Texas data, but if I switch to the other site, I mean you see pockets, right? But the center of the United States is still not really getting that many cases, right? Like we're being left out, or it's slowing down here. Who knows why that is, right? And we definitely are seeing minimal cases too. Like in my alma mater in Kingsville, like Corpus Christi has like I think like 100 cases, and where I was at, they have 9. Like, so these smaller towns, these smaller places, I don't know if it's reflective of how few people there are, or if there's something about like the heat, the humidity, right? That might affect it as well. But I'm worried that's hopeful thinking too, though.
Well, also how many people travel
That's true.
middle parts of America, like, and how often. I think that as a million different factors, I think to take a look at, but it is interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think that's why when people say it's like, oh, it's a conspiracy, it's not real. I'm like, no, man. Like,
It just hasn't reached your town.
have you met anybody like that, Sam? Someone who's all conspiracy?
No, not really. I think one of my coworkers is just in like bringing up like things like, oh, why would they want us to do this? Like because they want to sell us a drug, and stuff like that. But I mean, apart from that, not really. Everybody around me is pretty reasonable.
I mean, like I ran into a guy at Dollar General that had like a legit like antibacterial gas like apocalypse mask, like one that went over your full head.
Yeah.
And like through that, he's like trying to tell me how like China's killing us, and that like this is only one version of a strain that they're going to use to murder us in the world. And all he said in the background I could make out from the mask was like, the cure is going to come from China. Just watch. And I'm just like, I really don't know how to feel, because at one point like the people who are worried about their rights, right? They have a point, right? So I'm like in history, you should be cautious about rights being taken away, right? But at the same time, like, what do you do when the government seems to have a point, right? How far can you trust this notion of like impeding on people's rights, and then also just misinformation that people just don't get it. A lot of people don't understand what's going on right now.
I think it's misinformation, and what I've definitely seen is obviously people kind of argue. I've seen it everywhere. Cesspool called Twitter, where people like to argue. But it's been interesting seeing people talk about like I don't want to pay more taxes, my insurance, this and that. It's like, oh boy, get ready until someone tells you how insurance works, pal. Like, I've seen a lot of people just take this time to argue about things that they just feel like it's more so fueled because of what's going on. I haven't really seen necessarily a whole lot of like conspiracy stuff, but before it reached the United States, right? At least that we know. While I was still working, I had folks come in, a couple. The guy was kind of going off about it. He was like, this is not something we have to worry about. This is like early March, right? This is before I stopped going to work. And he kept going on and on about it. And his significant other, I guess, they were not, they definitely weren't agreeing with the stuff that he was saying. He was just, they were just trying to have a conversation, I guess. And I'm like, well, I mean, I told him, well, I mean, I don't know how to feel about any of this because I've never been through any of this, but I think I'm probably gonna watch it cautiously, And then his significant other comes out and says, like, I had swine flu. Like, you have to take these things. And then they went on and on about it for a little bit, and then she left. She left the store before he did. He looked at me and said, like, we don't have anything to worry about. He leaves, and then a week or two later, we're in lockdown. Basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so
swine flu. It's serious.
I'm curious to see. This is the thing, though. That gentleman definitely had some conspiracy stuff that was going on in his head. Not a whole lot that he was necessarily sharing, but it makes me wonder how many people have been activated to think this way right now.
Yeah, it really does. Like, I'm kind of curious, right? So I didn't get sick at the end of last year, right? Did you, Todd?
Yes, I did.
How bad? Like, memorable?
I mean, I had a pretty bad fever for about
say a week.
3 days.
Okay.
2-3 days.
But still, though, that's starting to get there. But it could have been a normal flu, right? So that's hard to tell. Sam, did you get sick?
I did not. No, I haven't been sick since maybe June of last year.
Dude, I didn't get sick, but I've had so they've already confirmed, right, that this didn't get here in January. This got here closer towards November, right?
Yeah, towards November, yeah. First case in Cali was in November.
Dude, I had a friend of mine that hopefully I can get him on here too to share it, but his son got really sick, got him sick to the point that his son was hallucinating from the fever. And he like got hit in a entirely different way, but like it lasted a week for him, where his son was a day. And then another one was his girlfriend didn't get any of the same symptoms except respiratory. And from how he was talking about it, it sounds like she lost like 20% of her breathing capacity, and she was debating on going to the ER. Like all of them were debating on going to the ER. He said this happened in December. And as soon as he told me that, I was like, I was kind of looking at him through voice chat, and I was like, now that you're saying it out loud, does it ring different? And he's like, yeah, it sounds a lot more scary and a lot more like COVID. And I'm really concerned. I think that this thing has been here for a while. And I just, maybe in certain areas, right? I'm not trying to push this forward, right? But I think that maybe certain areas are better for viral infections than other, which are usually colder, humid places. Doesn't mean that it can't transfer in heat, but it definitely can more so. My friend lives in a place where it gets colder a lot more frequently. So like if it was to survive in Texas anywhere, for sure, where would it survive? In a much more colder, humid place, right? And so it's crazy. Like I'm going to ask everyone who comes on here, were you sick anytime at the end of 2019? And I have a prediction that I think we're going to find a good few people who say like, yeah, I did have some type of more than usually intense cold or something,
It's like there's a couple of shows that I listen to, and which one it is, where it's like at the end they ask him, "Hey, do you have any do you have any paranormal stories, or have you seen a ghost?" So now in the future, post COVID, we're gonna be like, "Hey, did you get sick in 2019?
Anybody?
Anybody get the flu or something?"
It's something
The
that
flu.
the flu. Yeah, it's so mind numbing to have to worry about something that you can't see nor that you can directly diagnose or categorize, and that really bugs the ever living crap out of me. I'm curious, Sam. What, like, how do you feel like this is gonna affect how your life planning at all is gonna move forward? Like, with any of those new things that you said, that are like those where those events in your life, right? Like, you don't have to go into detail into to whatever you don't want to go into detail, right? But like, will this affect your planning for the next year? Right? Do you feel like this is gonna sway any big plans you might have had?
Like specifically COVID?
Yeah, well, COVID or like, yeah, like, does this change anything for you in the long term?
Yeah, of course. I mean, reality, there was a lot of other things that I wanted to do in the summer, and I mean, one of the biggest ones is we had a friend, Adonai Marcos,
Had a friend?
who's gonna be down. We have a friend, but he was gonna come down and we're gonna hang out. You know, it's gonna be nice, but they didn't come because of all this of everything that's going on. So at the time, I think when he told me that he wasn't coming, I was like, oh man, like I don't think it's that serious. But less than like 2 days later, I was like, okay, yeah, that was a good choice.
Isn't it so, like, isn't it so crazy how, like, some people made that decision in the opposite side and they probably regretted it, like, mid-flight?
Yeah, man, it's pretty incredible.
It really is. No, I get you. I was gonna say, for my side too, is like Ramstein's in August, and
Yeah.
and I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about whether that's gonna go through or not. Even though the band's already had COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the main singer went into the hospital for COVID, and he came out like
Wow.
the next day. Which I'm like, that's so cool, but I mean, now even more so, it's a band with COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know what's better or worse, Sam. But no, I get you. I really think that I really wonder what Victory Day is gonna look like for this. Like, I don't even know if it'll be Victory Day. It'll probably be like Victory Month.
Or more than some Americans. But I think that something you'll see, I think something you'll see people take pictures of more than ever is people hugging.
Yeah.
You know, like, people are gonna hug each other, like, people, families or significant others that have been separated because of all this. Maybe they're living in different, long distance, or living in different houses, and obviously now they probably are not seeing each other, I would hope.
It'd be
You're
so
gonna see
weird
a
if
lot
they
of
did the
that.
opposite. I've heard some people say that, like, because this is a norm for like China and Japan, like where they have to wear like a face mask, and there's a natural concern for a bit of distancing.
Right.
And I hope that's the case, that people want to hug more, but I'm really worried that people, this is going to turn people off to connectedness. At least there's going to be maybe more barriers between when someone's ready to hug you. It's like,
Yeah.
Maybe so. I think that personally, it's a kind of where I will want to get them, receive them from people that I know.
yeah,
But
that for sure.
now, unless I'm just kind of specifying what you said a little earlier, I think now would be more. I would definitely be more hesitant to do so with somebody that maybe I've met after a little while, and now we're getting comfortable with each other like that. I would say now that'll probably take longer, because I don't know how to feel about everything post COVID. I don't know how I'm going to have to feel about that. But again, I'm sure, going backwards a little bit, I'm pretty sure that that's what's going to be the thing we're going to see a lot of.
Yeah, no, I
People
agree.
hugging.
Yeah, Sam, I'm
Taking
going
pictures.
to hug the hell out of you. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Actually, going off of that, what I was saying with taking pictures of it, I think that's really, really interesting. Just wanting to capture that moment, and I can't imagine how like incredible it's gonna feel for a lot of people. Um,
And just
it's
imagining
like
it
one of
feels
the only
overwhelming.
times. Yeah, yeah. It's one of the only times in recent history where we had to do this. You know, like Ebola came and went, and the swine flu came and went.
Zika
That
came and went.
Zika came and went. Although we know people that got sick,
I
it
know
definitely
someone who
didn't
died of
feel
swine
this
flu.
way.
I know someone who died.
Yeah, it didn't feel this way though. Like
No, no. It felt like a landmine. Like it felt like you could step on a landmine, right? But
Yeah.
like it felt like the field was relatively clean of landmines. Like to step on a landmine meant like you had doubly bad luck or something, right?
Yeah.
But now it feels like,
It's an ocean full of surface mines that move around.
yeah, and it's harder to gauge which one's an actual like issue and which one's not. You know what I mean? If you have a sinus cold, you know what I mean? Like, what a worse time to have a sinus cold, right? And how weird is it, dude? Like, how odd. I was when I was at the office in Round Rock, before, someone sneezed and she was going down the hall and she was an older woman. She's like, "It's not COVID, it's sinus. I went to the doctor." Like, and she's just like down the hall. I was like, "Achoo! It's not COVID, sinus. Went to the doctor." Like, she's just repeating this over and over and over. And like, as she came by, I looked at her. She was about to tell me. I was like, "Ma'am, like, I trust you." You know what I mean? Plus, I'm like, in my head, I'm like 6 feet away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're fine. But it's so weird, like, to worry about that. Like, imagine, I know that not everyone's gonna do this, right? But imagine if you meet someone and then you're like, okay, it's like, a week or so before I could really get close to you. Like, not like emotionally, but like physically. Like, that would be a little weird to think about. If someone somewhere was like, I need this, this is going to affect how I want to get close to you,
Yeah.
because it's a weird thing.
It's
because
okay.
It's
It's okay though. It takes people at least a couple of months to get used to me. So it's all right, John.
we're talking. That's a vivid case, Todd. We're talking about generalities.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
That's just every day for me.
So, Sam, are you gonna? For those who don't know, right? Sam is a good man of pictures. He can manipulate the camera. So, are you gonna? Do you think you're gonna try and take some pictures of like people hugging and stuff like that? You think that would be like a central point?
Yeah, I think that'd be super cool. Maybe like, I don't know, going to a restaurant or something.
I mean,
think that'd be super cool.
what a different perspective, right? Again, like something that was normal, right? Like a few months ago.
Yeah.
And now it's not. It's such a trip. So
Yeah.
what's on your mind, Sam? Do you have anything you want to toss out there?
Man, I'm gonna have to get going soon, but
Yes, I figured that. That's why I was gonna ask you.
yeah, but I mean, maybe we could hang out a little bit more another time. I've just my days have been a little chaotic. Not really, actually. My days have been pretty great. But I've been doing a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, I think maybe just be good to one another. Remember that we all have trials and tribulations. The only thing we can do is support one another when we've got those. So to the both of you, I'm here. If you ever need me. Maybe, not really. Sometimes. For one of you.
Look. So, Sam, you take the same place on my emergency call list as Gabriel. And what I mean by that is, no, that sounds like a compliment, but it's not. Let me finish. So, I can call Gabriel, and it's like a 1 out of 10 chance that he will answer the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And even if he answers the phone, he's probably going to say something like, wait, and then like let the line hang. Yeah, I'm going to call Gabe, and I'll probably call you if I have like a 30-minute window of bleeding out.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I will talk you through. Yeah, the tunnel. We'll reach the light together.
No, for real though. I appreciate that, and I would say the same. Especially in a time like this, I think Todd's hit on this a few times, but I think that the moniker of social distancing is a little awry. It's a little off. I think that physical distancing needs to be the thing that we really underline here, and that way we can kind of let that be a thing, right? Let that be, because I think people are isolating themselves in the wrong way, and we're lucky, like Todd, myself, you, Sam, that we already have a tendency to bug each other with vocal communication, like at least 3 or 4 times a week, right? So it's easy for us. But imagine people, like if you have older siblings, right, or if you have uncles and aunts, right, people who are out of that loop, might be a little different for them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
All right, Sam, you're gonna run off?
Doing real good pleasure.
Yes.
I'll be around later on tonight.
Perfect. And we'll see
Thank
if
you
we
for
can
joining
game.
us, Sam.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you,
joining,
guys.
and hopefully we can do this again.
Stay healthy.
All right, you too. Laters. So, my good friend Todd, how do you feel? Would you like to continue, or would you like to make this a segment itself, or how do you feel? I'm good either way, because we got stuff to talk about too.
Yeah, we do. Let's continue. Let's keep going. Let's move on.
How do you feel about making that segment? How do you feel about making that segment, like we call someone in for the first part, and then we ask them if they want to stay?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That sounds a lot better. That way they can flow with it or not. And if not, they have to leave like now, which is what I was kind of assuming anyways, that Sam was only going to be here for this bit, right?
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
And it kind of worked out. So perfect. That works out, because I don't want to force everybody, or not force, but like to incline everybody to listen to like the gaming and music spot, right? Especially because the cool part is that we can call guests in to talk about how they've adapted, right? How their situation's been.
Exactly. I think that's the most important thing, because at some point we're gonna get tired of hearing both of us talk about our routines.
Oh, for sure. And that's what. No, seriously, that's what the guest part helps. And so I do have a list of friends that I'd like to make guests, and of course yourself. If you have people you want to bring in, let me know. Maybe like your friend Marcos or something like that. Might be interesting to see.
I'm gonna get him at some point. He's really busy, but
no, I
it
get you.
shouldn't be too difficult to grab him for an hour.
Yeah, I want to get my friend Marco, who's up there. I believe he's in Maryland right now, Baltimore. And so, yeah, so good. So we'll go ahead and continue that. So gaming, all right. Did you want to start this one? Who started last time? I can't remember.
I think you did, because you had just talked about Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
it was your honeymoon. You're right. You'd only been at it for like a week.
Seriously though, it was my honeymoon.
Yeah, I'm glad. If anything, let me ask you really quickly. Obviously you're still enjoying the game. Have you made some progress?
Yes. Is that your question?
Yes, that's the question. Good. And I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yes, it's. I'll just say this before, because it's part of my things to say. But I will say I'm definitely enjoying it. The quality is great. The story is great, and it actually knows how to pull at your heartstrings so far. I
believe it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try my best not to spoil anything. But thank you for asking. It is a wonderful game, especially for fans. But what game's on your mind though? Oh, we got some lag. Give me a second. Well, say it again.
I think there might be a connection issue. You're like spatting out here and there.
No, I get you, but it's coming back in. So what game are we gonna talk about?
Now I can hear you perfect. Cool. Well, I wanted to talk about a little situation today. While you were talking about Final Fantasy pulling at your heart, so I got my pull on, just tugged on a little bit today. So, Last of Us 2. We spoke about it, I think, first episode.
I saw a little bit about it. Yes.
So it got spoiled. It got spoiled for me. I was reading a tweet from a totally different. It wasn't even game industry related on Twitter. I was reading a tweet.
So your
about
defenses weren't even up.
Sorry.
Your defenses weren't even up, right?
No, they weren't, because it's like, well, this tweet isn't even. This is not even related. It's not even in the same realm of possibility that anyone on Earth would tweet. Well, anyways, it was a charity tweet, and I was going to read it because I was interested in it. And first reply, and literally, it's almost impossible to like scroll up, right? Because it's like taking part of the screen while you're looking at the tweet I was actually looking at. And it was 4 late game screenshots. It had there was a line of text, and then I closed the app. I was kind of in disbelief. 4 screenshots, they're kind of a blur, and I'm trying my best to make sure they stay that way. There is one screenshot that I kind of saw the one line of text kind of told me more, and so it kind of, and this is assuming it's a real leak. Well, that in particular, but there were some real leaks that happened.
Man,
but yeah, so basically,
tough.
I got the game spoiled for me. Kind of honestly, kind of at a worse moment, just because it was literally minutes before Sony pushed a tweet and an announcement for a new date, The Last of Us, which was, as of last recording, John, was postponed indefinitely.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was completely delayed.
What's the new date?
So the new date is going to be June 19th. So this happened to me literally minutes before they tweeted about it. And actually, from the PlayStation blog, it says right here, as we begin to see an ease in the global distribution environment, I am pleased to confirm that The Last of Us Part 2 will arrive June 19th. And Ghost of Tsushima, which is next game from Sucker Punch, the guys that did Infamous.
That's the one Josh was talking about, right?
Yes, and him and I were kind of going back and forth on it because we were concerned about that one too. It's like, well, if The Last of Us is getting delayed, and that's the first party title, how is Ghost of Tsushima going to fare if it's also a first party title later? So it looks like they're both still coming out relatively about a month from each other. So that's great. But this,
it's got to be so disheartening though, man. Like I think that message that you're talking about in the group chat, I read that like one of the first messages I read in the morning, and man, my heart dropped because I was just like, what are you talking about? And then I think you posted about it was Last of Us. I was like, oh crap. Like we had just talked about how much you were looking forward to that game, and how happy you were that it was getting this sequel and that everything was going to go great, and then it got postponed, and then that's one of the things that I really hate, because I can relate. I almost saw a spoiler for FF7, and same thing, screenshot, you know what I mean? Don't know what you're looking at until you're looking at it for a little while, right? And then like as soon as my red flag went up for like spoiler, I like did the same thing, closed the app, and I was like, I don't want to know anymore.
Yeah.
Because it just kills you. You know what I mean? It's one thing for me to be playing the game already and I already have an idea of where it might be going, right? But like for you to not even have the game in your hands yet, and to have like, it had to be a dev, right? Who the hell is gonna, if it's real, right? Let's assume it's real.
So some of it has been confirmed, and before you put this up, I'll give you links to this. Because I did pull a little bit here from a Kotaku article and from a couple others. But yeah, so apparently all this really came off the heels of a former disgruntled Naughty Dog employee.
Damn it.
And we don't know 100% yet, but it is from someone who was at Naughty Dog or had acted something from Naughty Dog, because the video leaks feature notes taken from
from someone who like
footage.
yeah.
And well, also that builds from earlier, from like in February and in March. So it's like, okay, this is probably real, probably a real leak. And from what I understand right now, it is, and it's kind of unfortunate. That's one really shitty way to bring down all the people you worked with.
Seriously, and especially in a culture that treasures not spoiling certain aspects. I mean, that's part of the whole thing about being a gamer too. If you respect someone's experience of it, but that sounds like just something that I don't even know if that was necessarily like. I feel like that was an attack over the bodies of the fans, right? That was something that was meant to hurt the devs, I think.
Sure, I agree. But I think that once that kind of material is out, then you have people on the internet who are just born to be trolls. And so I guarantee you that the tweet that I saw
is getting like shared and forwarded.
Completely unrelated to The Last of Us, about The Last. I'm pretty sure that person was just like, oh, this is fuel for my next fire. I'm just gonna go and randomly troll somebody on this random tweet that's maybe a Last of Us fan, and sure enough, the victim was I.
That's terrible, dude.
It's really like it's been kind of a whirlwind, man. Like I've never had this kind of weird relationship with a game because it's like, okay, first game comes out, it literally becomes my favorite thing for a while, and like kind of defines how I see certain. And then the sequel gets announced, and then this whole process, obviously about the development cycle once you know a sequel's being made. And usually I think most people, I'm saying this as if this is a unique situation. It's not, but like most people, they'll wait for the game for a little bit, and it's already out next. By the time they know, it's already out, right? Or maybe they'll experience a delay. But take this massive, this huge AAA, this blockbuster, a franchise that's a mega hit. Take that, mix it in with the pandemic, mix it in with a bunch of delays, right? Mix it with it getting postponed, and then somebody from who formerly worked for you goes out and basically spoils it for people who had been waiting for the better part of 4 or 5 years.
I can only imagine the fury coming from Naughty Dog.
It makes me really wonder if this June 19th date just came out of, because I believe these leaks started happening because I involved myself in some of a couple of different Last of Us subreddits.
Oh, so they're talking about it? People knew about it?
So people there, or at least in the 1 or 2 subreddits that I was not super active in, I was just like lurking, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had some of the mods come out and say like, hey, this is happening. We just recommend, we're going to, I think they were saying that for those who have already, unfortunately, have had these things spoiled for them, the mods, that they were going to go in and just, or people volunteering to go in and delete these posts, since they've already kind of gone through
so they've already know what it looks like. Yeah, that's so
they
brutal.
were dealing with it, but by the time I realized what was happening there, I had just unsubbed from everything Last of Us related. I deleted Tumblr. I still use Tumblr quite a bit. I deleted that, and now I'm kind of just, even though it's kind of gotten spoiled for me, I'm just considering maybe now legitimately staying off of Twitter for a while.
That's what I was gonna say, man.
Until that date, because I don't want more spoiled for me.
I know, but that's what I was thinking, that when I read your message, I wanted to I was like, man, this guy's hurting. Let me not reply to this right now. But I was thinking, I was like, dude, like if you're interested in like things that are coming up, news, like you want to stay away from spoilers and stuff, I was like, you got to get off Twitter, man. But at the same time, like now that you're telling me this detail, it wasn't even your fault, right? It wasn't like you were the one that was looking for this, or you were looking at Last of Us related content, right? You were just looking at something random and it popped up. But
it literally popped up right under it, and
that's what I'm saying. Like you can't even blame the victim here. It literally is a victim situation where like you just fall on that knowledge. And there's nothing to do.
I don't want to tread on this too long, but it does make me wonder if this June 19 date came out of nowhere, and this is them combating.
Maybe it was a reaction. Like leaks. They were like,
maybe it was reaction. It was a reaction.
Yeah, it's possible.
Or maybe this was the date all along. I don't know. It's so weird. It's so hard to like kind of figure that out, because how do you go from less than 2 weeks ago saying, I understand COVID's a thing, right? That is a thing that is literally dictating how everything is moving right now. I understand that. But it's crazy that if COVID is a reason for this game to have gone from May release date, postponed indefinitely, and then immediately after that happens, you get a June date. It's insane to me that that's happening. It's not a complaint. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that it's crazy how quickly everything, usually you hear about these things pretty spaced out.
Oh yeah, but this is changing the market. This is totally a system of a downline. The making decisions while you're on a moving train.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm not going to tread on that for too long, like I said, but
no, you're good. I think it's worthy. Like, last thing I'll say on it is just that point is that like it just sucks that we have to worry about that. Like, it's so common for us to have to worry about spoilers, and especially waiting that long for a game that's just
terrible. I mean, because now you're gonna, it just takes shape in your head. Just like I don't want to talk about the spoiler I saw for Final Fantasy VII, but just what little I saw and how well I know the series, my brain's already like, oh, so that means this happened, or that means this, or that means that, and I'm like, fuck, like it's just how the brain works, right? That person knew they just had to give you that little bit, and your brain would like have its day with it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, well, let's get off that topic because I know it sucks, but at the same time, I understand bringing it up. I think it's worthy because spoiling something, you know, it's one thing if you spoil like a movie that's already old. It's something if you spoil a game that's already been out for 2 years or a year. But spoiling something that especially like that was an attack on Naughty Dog.
Definitely felt that.
No, I would agree. On my side, I'll lump my stuff together because I feel like it's related. So Final Fantasy, real quick, was really great for me. I've really been digging it. They put you in some really uncomfortable social contexts, and I've forgotten about that part of Final Fantasy. A good part of that game is spent weirding you out.
Okay.
And like, you know, like there's a scene like in the old game, right? So it's not something to be spoiled, but where Cloud cross dresses. And,
Right.
and there's, you know, scenes that kind of play around with like the darker side of society, like prostitution and stuff like that, and like elements of war and stuff. So they really make you feel like I told you that line that had shocked me, where, you know, the mom was pretending with Cloud and loving on him and being nice, but then like as soon as the daughter's out of the way, she like strikes at him, saying the whole you chose power, you can't have a relationship, you can't have both.
Interesting.
And like that kind of got me. I was like, wow, like this game really makes you think about the characters a lot more. Like it feels like they're taking the time they wanted to take originally.
So let me ask you, as someone with what knowledge about the series in general, like how was that scene handled in its original, when it was original?
Everything was written in text. So the thing is that I think the reason why a lot of people like Final Fantasy VII and a lot of those games is because it's like a book. You know, you're reading it in your own voice. You're making up these voices in your head. You know, and that's the challenge for Square Enix in this, is that they're trying to live up what people daydreamed in their head, because they just wrote this. It's a really good script, right? But the voice acting is just so, like I told you, it plays like a movie. And in this context, I'm totally okay with them segmenting it into like 3 different games, because it just feels right. Like it's not like, you know, some games just slow it down for no reason. Like the Assassin's Creed series, sometimes they'll do that, where the mechanic takes time, so they bend the story to fit the mechanic. Well, this doesn't feel that way. This really does feel like something that they're fleshing out, but it's something that people wanted fleshed out. I will say something kind of an odd addition is, for anyone who's ever played Heavy Rain, the mini games are really close to some of that. Playing darts was really interesting. I actually spent like 45 minutes to an hour playing darts in a bar in Final Fantasy VII. And that was really interesting because it just had really good controls for tossing a dart and wagering, you know, your distance and stuff like that. That was something I didn't expect. And then I will say, I had misunderstood playing the game. I played it in classic thinking that was like old control mode. Rereading it, that's actually easy mode. I put it back into normal, and holy crap, the bosses are a lot harder. Not saying
Big difference.
Yeah, a big difference. Doesn't mean that it's, you know, too hard, but it's definitely a lot more consequences. First row battle I had with a boss took about 20 minutes, and I basically used up all of my resources. So that was really, like, that hit me. I was like, okay, this game has some bite to it, which was kind of missing for me, but then I changed the mode. I say all that to say this: playing Final Fantasy VII has made me feel really guilty, because there's another character that I really am attached to that I want to get back to, and that's Mr. Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2. I replayed that in 4K HDR, and holy crap, that game is stunning. Just fucking stunning. I rewatched it. How far have you played into Red Dead? Did you finish it?
No, I didn't finish it.
Did you make it to the diagnosis?
Say what?
Did you make it to the diagnosis?
Oh, I know. And yeah, I know about all that stuff already.
Okay, so like I replayed that scene, and that scene looks so damn good, and then the hallucination he has with the spirit animal, like that just hit. And it reminded me about how much, like, though I love Final Fantasy VII, like I'm really torn about which game to play, because I do not want to forget, you know, the work that was put into Red Dead, and I really feel like those two games are on par, like in a sense of story wise. Though FF7 isn't as open world, they definitely both have a rich character life. And just playing FF7 reminded me of what I was missing, which is, or not missing, but what I was thinking about that's really similar, which is Red Dead. Just two amazing games, and I want to finish them both. I'm working right now, but once I'm off of work, I can guarantee you I'm going to finish this crap in like a week.
Yeah, I understand. Actually, you made an interesting point about a little earlier about like playing mini games and stuff in Final Fantasy. For whatever reason, I'm surprised that the first thing that didn't come to your mind was something like GTA that does all that stuff
that's
really well,
right.
like
lifting weights in
like-
GTA and like jogging and going bowling.
everything.
Yeah.
Every little meticulous, like
I didn't even think about that.
every mundane thing that you can do in those games. I'm not saying that they do it perfectly or anything. I'm just saying they put so much detail and effort into them.
Yeah, no, they don't do it
Kind of
perfectly,
incredible.
but it's a lot of detail, and it wasn't the only game in there. There's a bunch of them, and that's what I'm kind of saying is that, like, you could totally tell that was just someone's side project, but they made it so well and they added it, and it's so crazy how these things can be entertaining in and of themselves, right? Like I was willing to stop the main storyline and just play darts, which again, I mean, I'm tempted to go back and do. Like it just feels so good. But Heavy Rain is the one that gets to me on it because of the controls of Heavy Rain, how weird they were. But same I guess background. Did you have anything else you want to say on game wise, or did you want to talk about Overwatch? Is there anything that's been you've been experiencing lately? I have a little point to say about Echo, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I just wanted to just really quickly make a note that I have now officially made my backlog. I know we've already been into this for a month, but I never actually put a list together, and I've just been kind of aimlessly going back and forth between Doom and some other things that I need to finish. But I'm like, okay, now I'm going to make a list.
And what's your
If I
list?
can okay, so it's pretty, I'm just going to go through it really quickly. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Sure.
And that now is at the top of my list because Josh was complaining about, a mutual friend Josh was complaining about it the other day. He said he had nobody to talk about it with.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to go finish the game now so you can stop complaining about it. So I made it a point to finish that game first when I get a chance. Played about an hour or two of it, just kind of fell off pretty quickly. After that, Catherine, which is not my first time playing the game, not my first time playing this version of the game, but it'll be my first time finishing it. And then Doom. I would want to say that I want to finish Doom before Catherine, but I got Catherine.
Doom Eternal?
And-
You mean right?
Yeah, Doom Eternal.
Got it.
Yeah, Doom Eternal. I'm yet to finish it. So Doom is going to be third on that.
Oh wow, okay.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I just
mostly
bought that the
because
other
I've
day.
been ignoring it. I've been ignoring it for a long time, and then Josh,
Again, right? Yeah, I know. Josh
he let
is-
me he let me borrow it like a couple. I'm gonna say like a month ago now, maybe two, and I literally installed it and played like 5 minutes of it just so I could see it, and then that was it.
That's funny.
Now I have an excuse because I also, like I said last week, I also got a new TV. We're both in that market, and now we're both kind of
Yeah.
trying these games. In fact, I need to go back and play Red Dead. I haven't done that yet.
Dude,
Yeah.
just open it up and just walk around. It is
Yeah.
stunning. Like just I was in the same way. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna open it up, and I just opened it up for fun because I think I was about to go to sleep or something, and like it just called me, dude. It just made me want to play the game because it just looked so damn good. Like I know that the weather and all that stuff looked really good even in standard definition, but fuck, like it looks so good. Looks so good.
Yeah.
But sorry, you were saying, is there anything else? in
No,
that?
either way, I can't wait to go.
Near better be on
just
that
play
damn
again.
list, Todd. I don't care if
It
it's at
is.
the bottom.
That one's next. So that one's next is Nier Automata.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, I have the PS4 version, but since the Game Pass, I
Oh
installed
yeah.
it there. I played it there, and then finally is Persona 5, which I finally got a hold of.
This is
I
not
had
the
been
new
kinda
one. This is the one before Royal, right?
No, this is Persona 5 Royal. This is the one that just came out.
Got you. Okay.
So I had a copy of that pre-order for some time. That came out about a week or so after all this stuff started going down here in our part of Texas. You were still able to go out and get Final Fantasy. It came out around,
Yeah.
I want to say it came out around the same time ish.
Yeah,
Couple
GameStop
weeks
employee
difference.
handed it to me in a GameStop, like with a
Mhm,
GameStop
GameStop.
bag as a glove, which was
Yeah.
ridiculous. But yeah, no, it worked out. The guys were real cool with me, and I'm lucky because a lot of people, the threat of that being delayed, right, is a real big concern.
Yeah. So I was kind of, well, I didn't really have a chance to go because the location that I had this pre-ordered at was a significant distance from me.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I also just wasn't wasn't in a position to go. So it was nice enough to grab it for me. Oh, they had other motives. They were picking something else up that I had ordered for them.
Sure.
And
It worked
so
out.
that's the last one. That's the last one on this list. So and
Uh,
that's the most recent one that I got. And I'm really happy I got it, John, because the collector's edition. So it comes with the mask that Joker wears in the
nice,
game.
nice.
And this is the thing, I haven't even opened it. Like I literally opened it to take out the code for like themes and all that stuff. To install that first and then install it. I've literally not taken anything else out. So I think
That's good though, like because it sounds
want
like
that.
you have a lot of good games lined up. I'm trying to think about what's on my list. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII is what my go-to right now. After that, it's Red Dead Redemption. After that, it is likely going to be Spider-Man. I'm going to put Spider-Man up there because I've been intending to play that game for a while. After Spider-Man, it would probably have to be God of War. I've yet to play God of War 2018, I think it was, right? And so I've yet to play God of War, which is another one I need to play. And then I think after that, it's just on the holster stuff, which is I want to partake in Destiny's current event, which is the classes are going head to head in almost like an Olympic style game. Got to give credit to Destiny. I swear they literally called like they're being attacked, the Almighty's coming down on them, but it's taking so long that they have to find a way to both prepare and entertain themselves along the way. And I was like, yeah, these guys were like preparing for COVID. Like they wanted to give gamers a way to conceptualize of this. Because literally as you go into these Olympics games, they say the Almighty's on our minds, but we have to entertain ourselves and not forget to live along the way. And I'm like, oh God, like everyone's getting ready to adapt to this stuff.
Honestly, though, when you can get a game like this is the future, John. Like
Oh,
when you can
yeah.
get a game like this, a game as a service, and I know that's a term that everyone loves to toss around, and it's just an eye roll. I can't think of it for the lack of a better term, this game as a service. That like I think they're doing it so well. Bungie in particular, if they're getting if they're kind of grabbing stuff from the real world, which is obviously we will do in game every kind of medium. But if you're grabbing stuff from the real world and presenting it as an event, right, like that's going on right now,
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive.
Seriously.
That also tells you a lot about how their community, how often and how or just how consistent their community is. Where they're like, well, we have to keep up with what they're doing, and they're still playing. So
Yeah. No.
that's
What was it? 15%? Like gaming population has increased 15%. I mean,
incredible.
yeah. The PlayStation 4s are out, being like sold out a little bit.
Switches and PS4s are selling.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy talking about how Xbox is not selling out, but
It's definitely not selling
yeah.
a whole ton, but yeah.
yeah, it's still selling. But it's just interesting, like how these games are adapting to this. So I do want to kind of say before we exit this portion of the talk, right, is that I'll have a bit more of a developed opinion on Echo. So I took your advice and I watched one of the replays in that function in Overwatch. I just had a drink and I just sat down. I was like, let's just watch this, right? And when you're right, 720p, like it just a natural replay looks gorgeous. And you being able to switch sides from all characters is gorgeous. But I got to watch Josh, who is used to be a Pharah main. He, like many of us, I've kind of learned many characters. So it's not to say that he's pigeonholed to any one character. But he's
not me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you definitely prefer at least one healing class, and you prefer one character. But yeah, kind of like Gabe and Josh, and a bit of myself and to other players that like we just want to be as malleable as possible. And I watched him. He played Farah. He plays Tracer. He's played McCree. He plays a bunch of the fast characters.
There's a lot of tank, but
Yeah.
he definitely likes Tracer a whole lot right now.
Yeah, he's getting good at it. I swear to you, man, I watched his replay of Echo, and that was amazing. I need to applaud him because I thought like that game was. I was like, oh wow, we're just pushing forward. Like no, he was doing some ridiculous work. From my perspective as a tank in that game, no, I wasn't a tank. I was Lucio. For that perspective, as a healer in that game, I was going down the main pathway, and Echo is just in the middle, left and right, left and right. It looked like a Scooby-Doo scene to me. But then like I went to his perspective and it was like, like death, mayhem, destruction. And then like he flies by and that's all I see. And then he goes into the other room and it's like death, mayhem, destruction. And he's doing all these last minute shots, like, and using the character's moves in the right way. And just such a fluid manner that he was taking down a lot of people. Like for every time he died, he probably killed 3 people. And I saw him do like these crazy turn the corner and make a strategic shot, hope to hit him in the head, and actually hit him like headshots. I was really impressed with, I wanted to say first week of Echo, I was not impressed. People definitely not using her as much as expected. People definitely knowing her to be like a weak character when played wrong, which a lot of people do. She has very low health, but in the right hands, holy shit, dude. Quick, adaptive. Just to watch it better, I'm not trying to pump his ego if he ever hears this, but I swear I had to chalk it down to 75% from the 1% full speed, just because the guy is moving around so much that I can't play that type of character, right? He was playing Echo in part like Tracer. I think that's why I mentioned Tracer, because he was just so fast that it just felt like if I keep trying to find a character combo that makes Echo make sense, and I feel like that whole notion of like some combination of Farah, Tracer, and like Sombra or Symmetra, and like he plays all those characters a little bit, and so therefore when they're all put together, pardon my French, dangerous motherfucker, Todd. Like I cannot feel like I felt bad for the other team after a while because these people were really trying, and this guy was just knocking them down.
I think that, and again, I'm definitely not trying to feed his ego. And if I am, for whatever reason, don't worry, I'll tear it down later. It's the kind of thing where he is just very quick to adapt to a lot of these new characters that have come out. I think that they do, and you're right, like they do definitely borrow from the play styles and systems of other characters where it's easy for some people to navigate.
Yeah.
And then some people just don't. But Josh is one of those people that he does, and him and Gabe are kind of the same in that from that perspective. They do really well with multitasking with the different heroes and their abilities.
Yeah.
Which is why, like I mentioned last week, when you were just kind of not really sure how to feel about Echo, or like you said, you weren't really impressed. It's like, yeah, this is going to be for people who flex play quite a bit. And when I say flex play, I mean they flex.
Yeah,
These are for the
I agree
people
now.
that probably don't like roll queue, that probably prefer, classic quick play now, which is relegated to the arcade tab.
Yeah.
I think this is for those kind of people. I have played her a couple times, and she is really cool. I like her design. She is fast.
Some of those emotes and some of those like costumes they gave her are just like so good. Like
yeah, man. Some of her design is awesome. Like if I hope there's nobody complaining about that, because people tend to complain about every little thing in Overwatch.
Sure. For sure.
I'm really happy with her design and like kind of the creative choices that they made with her.
Mm-hmm.
But it has, you know what, man, like it has been really interesting kind of seeing people react to her, because she is the most different hero from all of them.
Yeah.
Because she can be all of them.
Yeah, seriously. And then playing, not like, seriously, like that's something that I didn't even think about, but having 3 Reinhardts on the field, or like 3 Orissas, an element of mystery heroes that is in classic. I mean, or not classic, in role queue, and it's just so hard to fathom because one of the reasons why I really watched that is that that's what he was doing as Echo. Josh would cause some damage, and then to give us the extra defense we needed, because we were kind of a defense, like we were missing defense parts in our.
We're a defense negligent at that time.
At that time, yeah, and he just goes Reinhardt. He chose Reinhardt, and we have I think it was like I was an Orisa. It might have been Orisa or Diva or Zarya or something. And where we didn't have a shield, we now had 2 mobile tanks and a shield, and it was a wreck. Like just as soon as he did that, like he got kills because he got the super, and then he goes right back to Echo. You heal him or I heal him, whatever, and like done. Like it was so crazy seeing that turn of the tide once we synced up. Yeah, that was such a trip. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Overwatch. Unless you want to say something.
I'm glad that you've kind of had, I won't say a change of heart about her, but you definitely had more time to like observe and understand how she works. I think most of the time when it comes to like a hero release, and I will instantly go to like my 2 or 3 favorite YouTube content creators to see their reaction.
Yeah.
But it's much more informed if it's done a week or 2 later, at least in my opinion.
No, I would agree.
Because this is the thing. I definitely felt at first, I was like, cool design. I got to see her in action before I say anything. Obviously, like any new hero first week out, we're like, God damn it, I'm so sick of her because people don't play them well, etc. But yeah, once you take out the weeds, you can find those people that have learned to play them over this course of time, or just picked it up instantly.
Yeah, no, for some characters it's going to be an instant connection. It really depends on that person, and I guess it took a specific one for Echo, and I would agree to that because I think that's what made the first week so rough. Is that it was a harder character to get used to, but for those people who like to flex, it was perfect. Which is again really interesting to watch because we have also seen Echo teams fail because of people who are just thinking they can do well with that character without practicing or trying, right? So it is interesting to really see the these differences after like just a week. I'm good with gaming. How do you feel about that?
I was just going to add one thing about, in particular, you mentioned how you finally messed around with the feature, which is not even that new. It's not that new. It's not that old. It's only been around for, I think it's been around for like less than a year at
oh wow
time of recording. Yeah, so that feature in particular hasn't been around for that long. But yeah, when I started messing around with it, it was purely just to watch the replay. Before, I would go watch a recorded match, or obviously the highlight, assuming you had one match. That's what I would do if I had a really good or bad match.
Just watch the highlight.
I would go in. Mm-hmm. I would go in just purely from my perspective.
Yeah. For those who don't know, the highlight's really short. Highlights like just your biggest move in the game, and the replay we're talking about is like the entire game from both sides and almost like a god perspective, where you have like this ability to look around much more in a third person way than just like the first.
Yeah, and you can move you're basically the comment. You can be the comment.
Yeah. The spectator.
And when I first started using it, it was purely just to critique myself, right?
Which is not a bad reason.
Critique my plays, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I'd imagine that's why they put that feature in there.
Yeah.
And for content creation, but it's at first it was purely used for that, and then time had passed by, and more recently, what I noticed that I've been doing is that I have been putting it down 75%. I got 0.75, and I have just been letting plays play out, or certain battles or whatever.
It does something. And then it's different.
And then I'll go back and I'll slow them down, and then watch it from a different angle, watch it from this angle, and I have just become obsessed with that. And this is the thing. I know this is not a new thing in games in general, but it's so great when you really go into a game a while, and maybe you just didn't mess around with with an option or a different tutorial, right? Because a lot of times we skip.
Oh yeah,
tutorials.
we skip a lot of those settings when we jump right
We
into
think
it.
we know everything.
Yeah.
Or we think it'll be easy, or maybe a game mode or just a character or something. Obviously, Overwatch is very indicative of this. Go in after so long of thinking you understand a game, or you have this love for it, and then you go find something that you weren't paying attention to before. Detail, the incredible amount of detail that goes into making all of these things work. Something that I've already appreciated, but when you see it in slow motion like that,
it's different.
Obsessively, I did it obsessively because
Sure.
I was using it for.
Oh
something
yeah,
that
that's
I'm
right.
making.
The project you were working on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm
Which
going
I'm
to
not.
check that out.
I'm not
after this.
necessarily trying to talk about here. I just wanted to make note of the feature.
No, for sure.
It's
handy.
It's so cool to see that in that you played for so long, and then just a new bright light just turn on in a corner of a giant house that you've been playing in.
That's
been
lit for a
whoa,
long
look
time.
at this stuff that I can do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I felt when I was watching the replay. It's just that you're so pigeonholed to your own view when you're playing the game that when I saw the replay, it just made so much more sense. It doubled down on what I thought. I was able to double down on what I thought and what I was right on. But then, like what I didn't know, it opened me up to a whole other perspective. What was going on to elements of a fight. Because many people, who's listening and might maybe not have ever played a game like this, it's very contextual in the sense that I might be having a fight with a 1-on-1 or a 1v2, and at the same time that's going on, your buddy's having a fight maybe 30 to 40, 50 feet or even yards away from you, and I kill someone or he kills someone in the game, that changes the tide within our fights, even though we're not in the same fight. And so there's a lot of stuff going on where I've had to talk to my friends. I'd be like, hey, when I was taking down this person, what happened? I saw something go over my head. And and they're like, oh, that was me. I did this and I did that and I got him. And it's just really interesting with how much chaos is going on that you think you know what's going on. But when you look at the replay, it's different. It's totally different than maybe what you might have expected. Because I almost want to go back and pull some of the replays and get some of those embarrassing moments from Davila. Way. Yeah.
Trust me, man. This is something that I did previously, like I said, just for critique in the mornings. Like before I go to work, I'd watch a match or two from the night before.
It makes sense. No, because you've always had that mentality of criticism, right? Not in the sense of being critical, but criticism in the sense of what are we doing? What do we need to do? What
how needs to change?
Affect, because what we do now has a butterfly effect. And so that's one of the things that I've really noticed of where, I mess up a Zarya shot where I do the alt, and because I messed it up, everybody looks maybe a little bit too farther to the left that they should have, and because of that, there's a window to the right that opens up, and we get taken out by someone else's alt, right? And maybe the person who gets wiped out and blindsided doesn't know what happened, but me who messed up that alt, I am very aware of. I turned the tide.
Right.
What I did messed it up for everybody.
And it's really interesting to see those moments, John, from an overhead camera. Instead of even if it's from forget about another person's. Grab the camera, check it out, look at everything, and see those. And you can see mistakes so much more clearly. Obviously, if you know what you're looking at.
Yeah, for sure. You have to be kind of a veteran gamer to know, or at least haven't played that character to know too.
Exactly, because at that point, just because you're watching a replay doesn't necessarily know.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you know what you're looking at.
What's happening.
Yeah. That's a feature that I'm going to find myself looking at more and more, I'm sure, and I'd be happy to bring that up in here, if not make it its own thing, which would be interesting, just to see how that works, because it is really curious to reflect on our gameplay. I do like that, because we've been playing this game for the better part of 2-3 years, and it is
4 for me now.
Yeah, for me, right? and it's just something that. It's crazy how we're still learning new stuff and still getting better, or even getting worse, from practicing.
Yeah, deterioration is a real thing.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. Getting used to playing Lucio is something I'm trying to get used to again. I still do all right with him, but each character has their ways, and you got to be aware of that.
Sure. Don't hit yourself too hard over the head about that one. You do pretty great as Lucio.
I appreciate that, man. It's just that I try to like go the nth with him because he can turn the tide, like he can dance, like, but it is really interesting, like how to like get better, in certain cases. But thank you for that. So is there anything you want to say more about gaming?
No, that's it for me for now.
All right, cool. I'm down to go into music. So
Yeah.
who wants to go first, right? Because so for those who don't know, Todd and I challenged each other to listen to some music. Of course, in the future, anyone listening, if you wanted to challenge us to listen to something, you can just put it in the comments or let us know in some way, right? But until that time, I think Todd and I are going to take some time to challenge each other. And I challenged Todd. I don't think I gave you the whole album. I gave you like 2 songs.
Yeah, you gave me 2 songs, correct?
Yeah, I gave you. Which songs did I give you? I gave you "Dope Man" from so Royce the 5'9" is the
you gave me "Dope Man" and then I guess the intro to the album.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna try something out. So I might put a clip of that here, just to see if I can get a small sample so people know what it is. And so I'm gonna try that trick out when I do the production on this podcast, and I might try to put, of course, Todd's as well. So I gave you Royce da 5'9's first 2 tracks of his first self-produced album. He's an old veteran in rap game, and he self-produced that. He did that himself, which is one of the reasons why I wanted you to check it out. And then you gave me Spirit Box.
Yes, I gave you Spirit Box,
Which was really interesting.
which is a genty metalcore, artsy fartsy. That's how they describe it, at least on their pages. Artsy
I would
fartsy
say that
metalcore.
I would agree with that. It felt like an interesting combination of like a genty chon, like maybe polyphora, but not too far in that direction, more towards gent. Which I digged. I really digged. Maybe heard some intervals in there. Or you know what? What was the one who did something about the birds?
Birds.
Good Tiger.
There's a Good Tiger. Oh yeah, Good Tiger's great.
Yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
yeah. It reminded me of Good Tiger. Like it really did. But who wants to go first? Am I going first? You going first? What are we doing here?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first on this one. So yeah, so you had already talked about it. Royce 5'9", correct?
Yes, Royce the 5'9".
You had when you first sent this to me, you had told me you had mentioned something in the message about him being like an older rapper, finding himself later in life and during reflections and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I believe the gentleman, he's like 40. He's in his 40s. He's like 42 or 43. And I read into his history a little bit since I don't know anything about him. Don't know anything about the music. Know some of his affiliated acts, like he was featured, or he did a lot of stuff with Eminem, right?
Yeah,
and he had like a duo with him of sorts. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah, Bad Meets Evil, and then
Bad Meets Evil. There you go.
And then he also did some of the production for like Dr. Dre on one of the Chronics.
Gotcha.
For a song. He did I think it was a bit of the production, or he did like some of the lyrics, or some of the rapping lyrics on there.
Right.
So yeah, what else were you saying? Sorry.
Yeah. So I decided to I was curious about looking him up a little bit after I listened to the music, just because the 2 songs I actually feel differently about both for whatever reason. It might just be purely instrumentally, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know what to expect. But since you told me he's a little older, it definitely had this classic kind of sound or feel to it, and that's coming from somebody that has very little knowledge about these genres, right? But it was very clear to me, it was kind of clear to me maybe the genres that he was kind of going for. Maybe he was playing back to when he was younger. But what I loved about at least the intro song, I think it's just called Intro, right?
I think it's called Mr. Grace is the subtext of it. But yeah, it's just called Intro Mr. Grace.
So that one is clearly, obviously, it's setting up the rest of the album. If anything, I'll say that it does it so well.
Yeah.
I was really, really impressed. I think more specifically with how the lyrics, how they were delivered felt more like spoken word
Yeah,
and poetry,
especially when
and in a
Royce comes
sense,
in.
more than like rapping is,
Yeah.
more than what it sounds like.
Seriously, like, and I was wondering. That's one of the reasons why I sent that to you, is because like he raps in the next song, right? So when he like the next song he
does.
raps, but like in that song, he definitely like goes way more spoken word,
Yeah,
like off
and
tempo.
you know, yes, and it is off tempo, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I definitely I love the moments near the end of the song where he's still doing the spoken word stuff, and he's got a trumpet. I believe it's a trumpet, a solo
Yeah.
a solo trumpet playing in the background while he's doing that. And I'm like, yeah, I need more of this, man. Like if this is how I'm going to get deeper into these genres that I kind of just missed out on most
Yeah.
of my life. It's like, this is the stuff that I want to listen to. I want to listen to more spoken word stuff
Mm-hmm.
that sounds like this, a little jazzy kind of influence, right?
Mm-hmm. Soulful.
But I loved it. I love the way he delivered it. It's such a powerful kind of delivery of the words, and real kind of you know, he's clearly reflecting on something.
Oh, for sure.
And delivering it in a way that was actually really inspiring. And believe it or not, like I actually really enjoyed hearing this musician for the first time.
I'm glad. I'm really glad. The kid, man, the kid at the beginning when he's asking him all those questions.
Yes, like how do you say intellectual property in Spanish? And then the kid's answering all these different questions
Yeah, and he says, "How do you say group economics in Spanish?" It is like
in Spanish, right?
Yeah, and then
Are you gonna buy if you have $1 million, are you gonna buy a candy or a candy shop? That's
Yeah.
like the first question he asked.
Yep. Candy or candy store is a candy store, right? He says, right. And I love the question he asked, like, if I bought you all these gifts as a kid, and if I gave you all this wonderful stuff as a child, and as an adult, you have to go around begging for money. What did I do? He's like, you failed me economically. I was like, oh, like that just like hit me. I was like, damn, the fact that for those listening, this is a real kid saying this, like, it's not like just some voiceover. It sounds like a dad and his kid having a real like conversation. Like, I'm testing you, son. You got to answer. Oof.
Yeah, man. And very clearly I haven't heard the rest of the album, but like I think you'll like it. Clearly sets up the tone for a lot of it, right?
Yeah, it really does. And there's a second one in the middle that does it from a female perspective, like a little girl.
Oh, okay. I really liked it, man. I would love to hear more stuff along those lines. I would imagine that you would probably have more to suggest to me.
Sure.
in from that perspective.
Sure.
Now the second song, I'm 50-50 with it. I like a lot of the instrumentation, a lot of the sampling. That sounds so good. But I guess the one thing that the main attraction to these genres, right, it has always been obviously the rapping itself, the lyrics and stuff. Like it seems so different from the first song that it like I had to listen to it twice just to be like, okay, I'm gonna kind of get in the groove with it.
Yeah, because he goes in the same way. He goes off tempo, right? He his sampling is very contradictory.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the point, is that like since he's self-producing, he's kind of going off the trail for fun, I guess.
Yeah, and that I can totally understand. Like, and when you said about the sampling, like the way he does all that stuff, it sounds so great. I think that's probably why I like somebody like gosh, what's his name? I'm blanking out on it already. He rapper also kind of like Death Grips. What's his?
Like Death Grips. Whoa, what? Like
people talk about it.
Is he popular?
Yeah, it sucks that I'm blanking out on the name of this guy.
Well, if you want, you can Google search it, or let me know the genre, and I'll look at it up while you're talking.
JPEG. Jesus.
Wow, JPEG Mafia. Yeah, no, that's someone that I'm not too familiar with either, but I've heard a lot of good about. I think I might have seen him.
Yeah, you saw him when we were hanging out. It must have been when we were watching one of those Colors show, the YouTube channel Colors.
Yeah.
So he had like one or two songs there. I like the way he does his sampling and stuff, because it's kind of just it's stuff I've never heard before.
Yeah,
it sounds so out of place, but that's what attracts me. And same with this. I think that I definitely should probably just hear the rest of the album, just because I did like the much.
I really think
But-
you should. I will say that. So Dope Man for me feels like a very like it shakes you up a little bit because it doesn't adhere to a consistent sample.
Right.
And I think so. The intro it sets up the theme, and Dope Man kind of gets you into into a perspective because he does that not on every song, but he definitely has specific samples. And I will say like what's really cool about that album is those interludes, man. Some of the interludes you hear like a 10-second interlude and you're like, I want more of that. You're like, what the hell was that? Because it's like the music's fading off, another beat comes up, something comes in from the distance, and it's like you're driving by it, and then like it goes away, and you're like, what the hell did I just hear? Like that was like a pastor in a sermon singing some awesome lyrics, and what it just like was a chord change, and that chord change is the foundation for this next song. So that album seems massive. If you look at the track listing, it looks like it's massive as hell, but a lot of those tracks are interludes that set you up for the next track.
Right. That I'm totally down.
Now let me know what you think of that. I'm the whole album. So what would you rate the songs like that you heard, right? So how would you rate? I was joking around. I was thinking about like how we might rate albums and stuff like that. You're familiar with like Rick and Morty, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, they have a joking
Enough.
Currency in there called schmeckles, and I was like, I was like, let's give it 10 schmeckles.
10 schmeckles.
But we got to come up with a way
Didn't
of
know that was a
rating.
thing.
Yeah, we got to come up with a way of rating things. But would you listen to it again? Would you revisit the tracks? I guess is a nice way.
Yeah, I would. Genuinely.
Good.
Probably want to hear more. And if he has any more stuff that's like, I'm down for variety, right?
Sure.
Keeps an album interesting. But I would definitely have to hear more, even if it's like, a different artist. Just love to hear some more like spoken word, deep stuff like that, man. Or I don't know, because I'm
Check
down
it out. Like, no,
sure.
you're good. You're in the right vein. Like I said, Royce sent a second. Like, he was an alcoholic for a bit. He went clean. That's kind of what befriended him and Eminem. They were friends before, but both of them are recoverers from use. And
Right.
So that now that he's sober and now he's going to therapy, like he's literally talking about how he was abused as a kid, but maybe he's trying to convey such a hard issue. In the last album, he's talking about like his life story and all the abuse that he experienced, but in this album he's more of like, maybe that isn't what I thought it was. Like maybe that's just what my parents thought love was. Like maybe that's just how they could give it to me, and it's weird like seeing him go through these different stages. And so like the last album, the Book of Ryan, that's his name, Ryan. The Book of Ryan is about like his story, which most rappers tell at the beginning, but he tells it like way towards the later half of his career. And then he does this one, which is like basically like an amendment to that album, saying like, let me clarify. And then let me drop some knowledge on you, because basically he's gone to therapy and he feels enlightened. Like he feels like, not in the sense that he's talking down to anybody, but he's like, nah, I got my shit together, and like this is what it is, and I'm gonna say it because it is. And it's really interesting, like really interesting.
So when you say that, it just, I don't know, John, I feel like I have like this weird thing with music, like when it comes to like rap and hip hop and all these different that again just didn't really fall into at all.
Mm-hmm.
Other stuff that I've heard in the past, like when I got into Mac Miller,
Yeah,
for example,
when we showed you swimming,
Josh was showing me some stuff prior, and I was like, I don't like.
This is at PAX. Yeah, this is at PAX.
Yeah, and then at PAX, you guys showed me his most recent, unfortunately, his last release at
his last living release.
Right, and that album blew me away.
Whew,
swimming. It was so different. It was so different from his previous work, and obviously different mental spaces. But I definitely feel that it has a huge effect. Obviously, how the music is made, but it seems like with these genres, though, I feel like the first, second try. No, give me the one a little later. Give me the one a little later. I feel like that seems to be the case with these genres.
I get you.
And give me the one down the line, because it sounds like this is the sound that I would want to.
I think that's the case because, man, like rap itself as a genre is hip hop and rap is a very youthful genre. I think Eminem, Dre, Hove, Jay-Z, Royce, a lot of these rappers, a lot of rappers get out of the game, and they or die young. It's another thing too, that we see happening. And so I feel like with regards to rap, the more time they have in the scene, the more time they can feel stuff out, the more mature they become. We're kind of seeing a second to third wave of rap, to where our rappers are getting older, and Eminem's like 40 something and he just released a whole full album, but now he's doing it as a parody to Hitchcock. Like, the hell? You know what I mean? If you would have told me that Eminem talking about cleaning out his closet, 10 years later, 15 years later would be like, or like 12 years later would be like, I'm going to make a song about Hitchcock. I'm going to make an album themed off Hitchcock's, music to be murdered by. And I'm going to interlace like all these, concepts in there and make it a lot more like that. I'm like, that's so weird. Like these things are these more, I guess, theatric things that we prefer, you and I think these more theatrical things in rap come later. Because even J. Cole's For Your Eyes Only is a really good album that ends on like a 14-minute like discussion about socioeconomic status and the difference about how people are raised with like depending on their color and money. And like the beginning of that album is like club bangers and like like all these like classic things you'd expect from a rapper.
It's like reel you in. We're gonna reel you in,
yep.
And then I get you with something.
Yeah. And I'll send you the clip of it, and that might be a song that I suggest to you next time, which is it's a song called the album's called For Your Eyes Only, and the song is called For Your Eyes Only. But like there's a clip of J. Cole, like, to give you an example, he's one of the more youthful rappers trying to get this type of rap out. And he basically gets on stage. He's like, all right, guys, I've already played all the bangers. I've already played all the stuff. He's like, if that's what you were here for, that's awesome. And I support you, but you might want to head home. He's like, because I'm about to do like a 14-minute song about some real shit. And that might not be for you. So if you came here for the club side of me, that side is done. That show is over. We're going to get real for a second. And like that was really cool, you know what I mean, to see like that some rappers are seeing that there's an audience for this type of stuff,
It's really interesting that he decides to like get all the stuff out of the way that people are probably there to see for, to get the stuff that he probably really wants.
Yeah, because they're gonna complain
or
man.
Perform,
Yeah, they're gonna complain like and it's happened before, man. And I get it. I've been to a show and like I'm like, yeah, get to the next banger, and they're like, okay, we're gonna play our soft song, and I'm like, fuck, like, you know what I mean? I get angry at the band playing the song I didn't want to hear, but at least the band's basically like, look, we put all this music to the end. So, man, I'm so happy you liked Royce, and I think I already have my next suggestion ready for you.
Cool. I look forward to that for the next time. Do you already know that suggestion, or are you gonna give it to me after?
Yeah, I already know the suggestion. I don't know that I'd make it the whole album, but the suggestion is J. Cole. But it's if you haven't heard it, it's called For Your Eyes Only. And I'll just tell you a little bit of the synopsis. The synopsis of that is that supposedly he's making that album for a friend of his that died.
Okay.
And basically, he saw his friend, and his friend has a daughter. And his friend wrote down or recorded something, and he said, play this album for my daughter when she's old enough, in case I die. And so like that's kind of the synopsis, and he goes into a detail as to like he tries to think about hood life and all that, and it's just really interesting for him to go into that perspective. So yeah, the song's called For Your Eyes Only, and it's J. Cole. It's the last song on the album, and it's just like I said, after all the bangers. But I'll go ahead and get a couple songs, and I'll let you know what other songs on there too.
Please do.
Yeah. No, I'm already writing down the list. Are you good on that? You want me to switch in?
Yeah, by all means. I'm really curious to see what you have to say about.
Yeah,
probably my favorite thing out.
It was
right now.
interesting. Like I liked it. I like Spirit Box. So Spirit Box, the self-titled album, was the one that Todd recommended to me, and I listened to it twice. I listened to the whole album twice. The first time I listened to it, I got a surround system here at the apartment now, and so I was listening to it there. But I actually, in my notes, I had put that I really don't. Not that I didn't like the vocals, but that the vocals sounded curious to me. Was there something about the screaming? And so then I can say right off the bat that I like the 3-parter. Like I liked that 3-parter. Definitely sounded
The Mara effect.
Yeah, the Mara effect sounded very jam bandy. which I used to be in a jam band, so I was kind of like okay with that. Like it just flowed, and it had similar chords. The ones that got me though were Aphids and Everything's Eventual. Yeah, Everything's Eventual got me, and I liked the chords they played, and I loved the groove. The groove was nice. The production felt really good, really genty, which I'm a big fan of. Periphery. I saw Periphery in person when they first had their first album. I just love that genre. But I will say that I didn't like it as much until I listened to it in the car. I was driving around, kind of clearing my head, also going to go get some food, which, by the way, if you're listening to this, support your local market so long as you're safe, right? And
Please.
yeah, please be safe. But I want to support local market. So I was doing that, and I just decided to throw on the album. And in the car, I don't know if it's because it was like isolated or maybe because vocals don't have a designated speaker, because in the surround system, there's a specific speaker for vocals. And so in the car, it just hit, like it just felt so good. I really liked how it kind of drummed on, and it just felt way more fun for running. I'm almost certain I'm gonna listen to that album again when I go for a jog, probably the next couple days. I was kind of not concerned, but I was wanting to get to this band because I've heard you talk about them. It's not my perfect style because I prefer a bit more gent. But I can say that I really like the groove, and I know you don't like the band, but it reminded me of like kind of in that Polyphora Chan section.
I like Chan, thankfully.
But it definitely didn't feel as not vacant as Polyphora, but it, like Polyphora kind of gets aimless sometimes, and I really liked how this just really felt contained. It felt really good. It has me curious to try out their other albums. And
So-
like it's not usually
so they
my norm,
have-
but I do like it.
So they have just that, I guess.
Oh, they don't have
Ish.
another?
They don't. The only
Whoa,
thing they
I
have right
could've
now
sworn
is a
I saw
singles
one.
collection. They've
There
just
you
been
go.
releasing singles.
That's what I saw.
So that consists now of maybe like 6 or 7 songs now, I think. The last one that came out is called Blessed Be. That is probably the softest, more mainstream kind of sounding
Mm-hmm.
song of all of them. I know that sounds like I'm downplaying it. I'm not. It's just like I can't think of any other way to say it. That definitely sounds more mainstream than all of their stuff combined.
I get you. Though.
But I'm actually, it's great. I love that you really got like the ones that really gripped you were Everything's Eventual and Aphids. Everything's Eventual is probably my favorite song. It's like the second song I ever heard from them. And the first one was Perennial, which is off of their singles, and that's probably the first song you heard because that's the
Yeah,
first song
it's
I
the first
heard.
song on the
And Josh and
album.
I showed us Perennial that same day. And then you were having a conversation, so you weren't paying attention. But I was hooked. Like the moment I heard what I heard, and I would just, whoa, what is that?
Yeah, it's that. It's
This is
that.
up my alley.
That dreamy guitar. It has like a specific type of tone to that. That's why I pulled out like Chan and Polyphora because like they're in that type of dreamy guitar area. But this
Yeah.
was different. This was interesting. Sorry, you were saying?
No, yeah. Everything's Eventual, I think, it's the best. Everything that's great about that band, it's kind of put into one in that song, in a lot of ways. If I was cheating, I would say all of the Mara Effect. That's
I was gonna
I think-
say what I
very well.
what I heard when I swear I heard because I think they split the Mara Effect so it's not all together.
Yeah, it's
And-
Mara Effect 1, and then I guess the intermission, I forgot what the name of that one is, and then Mara Effect 2, and then Mara Effect.
Yes, yeah, and so yeah, when going through that, when I made it back to Mara Effect 2, I was just like, yo, it sounds really familiar. Like, and it's not only that, but it sounds like in my head I was just like, yo, they're just like staying on the same chord set. What the hell is this? You know, because as a songwriter on my side, like when you stay within the same chord set, you're like, hey, like change it up, you know. But then
Yeah.
I like pulled up my phone and looked at what was on there. I was like, oh, like they're meant to be intertwined. I was like, oh, okay. Like I just like put it down. I was like, okay, that's fine. You know, because I feel like some bands accidentally just repeat themselves without knowing, but obviously that was the intent.
Right.
So that was really good, man. Like, and I remember it being played in the background, but I also remember me not paying attention. Like I was talking to someone else, And I think that's why, because it reminded me of something I've heard, but I wasn't paying attention enough to hear how that it was different. But I remember you going on about it, and then that's why when you said Spirit Box, I was like, okay, like gives me a good reason to go into it, because I'd been meaning to, but I just never jumped in.
Right. It's I just think that for me, and like I've mentioned before in other conversations I guess we've had about how like my relationship with metal, where like I got off of it like when I was exiting high school, and then when I went to college, I was like, I'm done with metal, man. I don't want to listen to any fucking metal anymore. Like I'm tired of metal. Like I'm just tired of the same.
Everyone says that for a while, and then they come back.
Yeah, and then I came back, and I came back to Gen T metalcore stuff that was more my, which is more my speed. I was more interested in speed, progression, just variety. And this is definitely going to sound. I don't know how this is going to sound. I don't really care. I was just really happy to not hear a dude sing for once, and in a while. It's really nice.
Is that what's up? Is that a woman screaming?
So you didn't get that, did you?
No, but I knew something was up. Not in the sense that it was bad, but it was just
Courtney LaPlante. She does all the vocals.
Oh, that's
so
what's
she does
up.
the singing and she does the screaming. Now,
that makes
harsh
sense.
vocals. So she has a bit of a history, and I believe so does obviously some other people and some other folks in her band. But she was the second or third singer, I believe, for Iris Aldebarans, which is not even a band I heard of even back in the day.
I heard of it back in the day. You didn't hear it? You didn't hear about it?
No. I knew who they were. I just never listened to them.
Okay.
They weren't a thing that I listened to in high school.
They
so
toured down here, I think.
I believe they did.
Yeah,
I believe they did a couple times. Mistaken. But yeah, so she had a history with that group, and I guess she wasn't doing anything in between. I'm not sure, just because I didn't follow her music. Right?
Yeah.
But that, for me, it changes the dynamic a bit.
It does. It's like Arch Enemy, or.
Well, for me, it's just the lyric writing. Like, it's just.
Oh, sure.
I've already had enough of
the male view.
Yeah, I seriously,
sure.
and
No,
this
especially
is
in metal. Especially in
this
metal.
that's probably why I got out of metal in high school. I'm sick of the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah, a lot of the same male stuff.
It definitely helps it make it a little more interesting for me, but it's definitely a combination of all things. But more than anything, what compels me about the band is the lyric writing, and that's just coming from somebody that writes a lot.
And that's something I didn't see. Like, that's something I didn't look into. And you know what? That's something I'll go ahead and make a point to in the future. And as I'm checking it out, is to read the lyrics while I'm doing this, because I'm such an audiophile that I tend to focus on the music. But that's so true. The lyrics, which obviously in rap is a lot more prominent, so of course you need to hear that. But I tend to forget about screaming vocals.
And obviously, like it is sometimes difficult for some people to understand the harsh vocals, right?
Oh yeah.
And so like Courtney screams her
sure.
fucking lungs out on these, and like it took me a little bit to understand everything, right? Eventually, I got obsessed with the group, and I just like I read the lyrics, right? Like I know how each of the songs goes.
Yeah.
But it left such an impression on me lyrically that like it's just one of those things where like I don't remember the last time I was this obsessed with a group. I think probably the last time must have been like Queens of the. Like, they must have been the last group that I've been really, really in tune and obsessed with, because I'm just like constantly, I'm constantly following up on like whatever new music they're coming out with, like support them in any way that I can. I dream of seeing them live someday.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. No, I can imagine that.
But they had their first couple of shows. They had the first two free shows in their hometown, somewhere up in Canada.
I was about to say, I already knew.
Yeah, some Victoria or somewhere around there. I'm not exactly sure. And then they hopped on a tour with Polaris.
Nice.
After the Burial.
Nice.
In Europe. So that was taking off. Unfortunately, it got cut short because of COVID. Yeah. So they had to make their way back.
After the Burial, dude.
Fingers crossed that. Oh, and Make Them Suffer. My God. Oh, when I saw that ticket, I'm like, wait, Make Them Suffer. And and Spirit Box. This
Yep.
is like,
Yep.
and it had to be Europe, right?
course,
'Cause
of course. Oh,
it had
yes,
to be
of
Europe
course.
for an Australian band and make them suffer.
Oh, no, but
and
always,
some Canadians.
anytime I see a bill like a show bill that looks like too good to be true, I don't even look at the damn like location. I already fucking
Yeah.
know. It's in Europe. It's in Australia. It's in,
Too far away.
or it's like Mexico City or something. Like
Right.
it's not the United States. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, you know what I mean. But it just always bugs me, man. Like, yeah, it's always like walking or something, like, or Vakken. It's always something way out there. So
No doubt.
I have a question for you, right? So I have kind of two albums or two different types of genres that I have in mind for your next. Would you prefer a more slower jam band that like builds up to an event, like it's a short album but it's like really good, or would you want like to stay on this like a genre you're not comfortable with thing?
Let's do a genres that I'm not comfortable with.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and I won't forget about this other band. I'll bring this back out.
Oh, not comfortable with sounds weird.
Or
It's
not
not
as
bad.
accustomed to. Not as accustomed to.
Just to have no knowledge about them. Really.
Yeah. No, I totally get you, and I think that's a better clarification of it. I really did like Spirit Box. I'll be honest, it's not a trend of a genre that I'm into right now, but it's in that genre that I would listen to though, especially like again like jogging or putting in the background. Like I could definitely put Spirit Box in the background like while I'm being creative, just like I could put Chan in the background when I'm being creative. So I feel like it's gonna go into my study music, which is pretty interesting because it feels that like that light. But I'm actually happy that you suggested that one because like I said, I've been meaning to look at it, but I just never had any point to or reason to. And this kind of helped me to like, all right, I'm going to make some time. I'm going to jam out this album. Because I listened to it this morning too, while I was making coffee and stuff. That's the cool thing about the sound system, man. I wake up, first thing I turn on is the sound system. Put something on. That's how you know I'm up.
Man, that's awesome though. I'm glad that you have this fucking power to hear these things.
Not only that, it's like so much power I have to worry about. Like I haven't taken it. Yeah, I haven't taken it above half. There's like no reason. So, but at the same time, it's just nice to have that problem versus the other. So that album's gonna be For Your Eyes Only. It's a long album, but I'm gonna think about what songs to give you. How do you feel about the podcast so far? Do you wanna say anything else? Anything else we should add?
If anything, I will tell you, John, to go hear something. I'm gonna suggest two things.
Sure. Whatever.
One is going to be another Spirit Box song, but just so you can hear their newer stuff.
Okay.
That was from 2007. I'm
what's the name?
probably gonna send you. You've definitely heard more. You've definitely heard their singles while we've hung. You've never heard any of the Mara stuff until I. Sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So you've definitely heard Perennial. Belcada is probably their second heaviest song. Like Aphids is the only song where she doesn't do any, or all she does is harsh.
Yeah.
Belcada might be a good one. You know what? No, let's do Trustfall. That's my favorite.
Okay.
That's my favorite song that they ever. Kind of on the slower side, but this one where I paid more attention to the lyric.
Kind of surprised I've never seen a song named Trustfall before.
You know what's interesting enough? I think like the week or the month that I heard that song, there were like 3 other songs that were suggested to me that were also called Trustfall.
Oh wow, this is what I'm saying. Like that's actually the first time I've ever seen that used as a like I've seen like of course Trust and Fall used in song names, but not Trustfall, which is something that I haven't thought about in a while.
I think it was like an Incubus or something that was Trustfall or something that someone suggested to me. I don't remember, but Trustfall is a song that I would suggest to you. And as for just like music in general, you've listened to Loathe already, right?
No, was that?
No. Okay. So Loathe, they're a French grungy kind of band. They got they got a bunch of elements. Josh might have outed them to you sounding like Def
Maybe.
here and there.
Maybe. Well, wait.
Okay.
Like, the Death Grips, you said? No.
No. Deftones.
Deftones. Got it. You cut out there. Yeah, no, I haven't heard that one at all from nobody. I'm actually curious to check that one out at all. Check that one out.
Cool. So I will either send you their previous. I feel like I have. I feel like I've showed you, Cold Sun, which I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll send you something Loathe related. They're a French band. They recently came out with a record back in February, if I'm not mistaken, and that was the first time I'd ever heard of them. I love it. I think it sounds awesome. Their previous stuff is a little heavier, which is really cool. But this new one sounds like, okay, now I think they kind of found their sound. So it's a really interesting mix of like, there's Deftones, there's some heavier stuff in there. They've got some like 80s kind of like vaporwave-y, not vaporwave, one of those genres kind of sound to it that sounds really, really cool. It just makes me think of the 80s.
It's one of those groups that kind of captures the time. I don't know why when you say that, even though it's not the same genre, it reminds me of like Father John Misty, in the sense that he's not he's a contemporary artist, but he definitely sounds like someone from the 1960s, 70s.
Sure.
And so I totally get what you mean by that. Man, that's cool. I'm down. I really like this segment because this allows us to kind of explore music in a different way. And so I'm down. I'm down to keep doing this. For Your Eyes Only by J. Cole, specifically that song off that album, same title. And I will give you at least another one or two songs to check out from that album. That it's just really telling. You can tell that on that album, he's not really like, he has a couple club bangers on there and stuff, but he's not rapping for them. He's rapping to try and talk about like almost like a genre of type of people or a genre of situation. It's really interesting.
Must be a really interesting perspective. I'm really hearing that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tearjerker, man, in the sense of how real it is. Like, For Your Eyes Only is good.
I'm built for that shit, man. Let's do it.
I'm down. And then I'll go ahead and check out I
will send you a link for Loathe.
Yeah. Is that going to be what you want me to listen to?
Don't know which one of the two albums. I'll figure that out. And then Trustfall by Spiritbox. One song.
Yeah. I forgot that one. All right, man. Well, if that's it for me, I'm good if you are.
I'm really good to go, John. I'm glad we got to hang out and talk today. I'm glad we got Sam to join us for a little bit. Thanks, Sam, for that.
Yeah, Sam, if you make it this far to the end, thank you for that. I do want us to get used to having that first segment kind of be for guests coming in to tell us different aspects of that. And Gabe, of course, if you make it this far, I think this is the one episode where we did not bring you up intently. But yes, right. So to everybody, I do want to say, if you made it this far, right, I do hope that you're doing well. I do know some of my friends out there are struggling. I do have some friends that are in business, some friends who are in some pretty hot places in the sense of, high with COVID. And if for some odd reason you listen to this last part, I really hope you know that you're on my mind. And I will be reaching out to some of you to see if you'd be inclined to tell us some of your stories, because I know y'all got them. And I know that a lot of people don't know that those things are real. And it's one thing if you hear about someone who like is experiencing it around the world, but if you hear someone who's in your neck of the woods, I think that changes the face of it a bit. So I'm definitely down to keep up that first segment, and then we can kind of have these middle segments for us to kind of calm down after such a brutal topic.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add that, we're already, at least the better part of us, in our state of Texas, right? Like, we've been at this for like a month now.
Yeah.
And I definitely, things are changing, right? But I would definitely repeat everything you said and just continue being good to each other. Be thoughtful to your loved ones, to your parents, to your friends, to everyone. Right now is the time to really look out for each other as much as you humanly.
I would agree. As much as you humanly can, I think that's the right thing to do. We need a lot of conscientiousness in these times, and a lot of wisdom in our actions, and just a lot of connection without physical connection, which is really hard for us to do. But with that said, guys, I hope y'all have a good one. Hope y'all stay safe, and then we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.